Super Mario RPG is exactly what it's called, a role-playing game starring Nintendo's beloved Mario, something completely unexpected at the time that helped pave the way for all future Mario RPG-like titles. Square was then and still known for their expansive role-playing games like Final Fantasy, so it's so cool to see how their developers brought that traditional RPG formula into the world of Mario. I have no connection to the original Super Mario RPG, but one thing I noticed right off the bat while playing the 2023 remake of the game is just how much personality and charm there is oozing throughout every single aspect of this game. Bowser kidnaps Peach as usual, except this time Mario starts out at Bowser's castle and we're already facing off against him in the opening chapter. Suddenly a giant sword named Exor falls from the sky and pierces Bowser's castle, declaring the Smithy gang has taken it over. Mario escapes and looks over at the castle from a distance as the title screen displays. Despite the rather ominous opening, the game is pretty much fun after fun times from here on out. Now, I should state, I don't really like traditional RPGs. I find them kind of boring with their mountains of dialogue often required to read in order to fully learn each character's backstories and motivations, digging through menus to upgrade skill trees and equip better and better weapons constantly when you reach the next town, and their overall extremely long playtimes, requiring constant dedication to their worlds and stories in order to progress, and needing to constantly grind enemy encounters in the overworlds to stay at high enough level to even attempt to take on the next big boss fight takes up a lot of time too when you consider just how many times you're watching the same battles and cutscenes play out over and over again. And don't even get me started on random encounters. All these things equate to frustration and tedium in my eyes when I play most RPGs, but Super Mario RPG doesn't expect or demand any of that from you. Despite being developed by Square, the developers stay true to creating believable environment and story within the Mushroom Kingdom, and the more family-friendly world of Mario is reflected in its combat and RPG elements, creating an easier and shorter RPG experience than ones you'd find in typical Square Enix titles. This simpler design makes it a lot more approachable for non-RPG players like myself. Encounters with enemies are always by choice and are quick and snappy. You're not really digging through menus in combat, as almost everything you want to do in battle is represented by a single button press. The battle theme is fun and exciting, and seeing all your characters do a little dance on stage while one of them levels up is absolutely adorable. Despite the original game releasing in 1996, the original developers were still able to portray a lot of character and charm through every character's movements, and that is translated beautifully in this Switch port. Everything is so lively as the characters are as expressive as ever, especially Mario with how he often acts out his recent events to people to express himself. The CGI cutscenes are stunning and vibrant, and it's fun to see all the different combinations you can pull off with your teammates using the different triple moves during combat. This game is so lively and unpredictable. One minute you're making music hopping on tadpoles, the next you're rolling a barrel down a waterfall, and then riding a minecart through a cave collecting coins. There's all these fun mini-games that really break up the otherwise more repetitive enemy encounters. One of my favorite parts of the game is Booster's Tower, where this doofus Booster kidnaps Peach and is trying to arrange a wedding to marry her. What's funny is how Bowser joins forces with you to help take him out, as that impedes on his usual plans of kidnapping the princess. Bowser acts as a beefy tank-like character that can absorb a lot of hits and does a good amount of physical damage in return. The other party members unique to this game, Mallow and Geno, are cool and iconic and offer some great moves in combat, with Mallow being more of a magic user that can attack multiple enemies at once, and Geno charging up and doing a ton of damage with his laser beam to a single enemy. Geno's backstory of how he's a warrior from Star Road sent to restore peace is really cool too, especially with how he's depicted as a spirit in this world, but takes the form of one of this Toad Child's toys named Geno. You follow Booster, and after a fun chase section where you must bounce off barrels to speed up, find him at a cathedral where you must fight a giant wedding cake to save Peach. Peach is saved and joins your party too, acting as the main healer. See, your goal here is to collect 7 star pieces to repair the Star Road the Smithy Gang destroyed when they entered this world. Each star is obtained at the end of a chapter, and each chapter is rather straightforward and simple in terms of goals, and thankfully none of them really overstay their welcome. There's Moleville, where you save some moles stuck in a mine by blowing up this blocked path with a bomb. A sunken ship, where you must collect clues to solve a word puzzle to progress, where you fight a giant blooper and this shark boss guy named Johnny, holding one of the stars. And there's also a cloud kingdom called Nimbus Land, where Mallow reunites with his parents, and you fight Birdo of all things, as well as this lady named Valentina. This is seriously one of the best chapters, with many memorable boss fights, as you soon fall into a volcano, where you can rest and stock up on items before encountering an epic boss fight against the Tsar Dragon, where you think you defeat him, only for him to come back again after falling in the lava. And then against the final boss of this chapter, the Axum Rangers, who show up at the top of the volcano and you defeat them on their ship, revealing the next star piece. I love how much charm there is expressed through many of the side characters in this game. Being an RPG, many of the side characters are simply villagers or shopkeepers, but that doesn't mean they are exempt from some truly funny animations and silly moments in this game. This one toad is practicing to jump as high as Mario, and pretty much never stops jumping on his bed no matter what. This thwomp that only speaks a little bit after each time he slams the ground. And then this dodo bird who is Valentina's henchman that suspects you're not really a statue, so you must jump when he tries to peck you. There's also a bunch of other small functions in this game that keep it engaging and unexpected, like action commands. This game introduced the quick action commands that require you to press the A button at the exact right moment when attacking or defending, to do more damage or successfully block an attack. This became a staple in the Mario RPG franchise that appeared in many future entries, like the Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi series. There's also this fun minigame you can play after some battles to wager your coins earned in order to double them by following the placement of Yoshi in one of these 3 eggs. Sometimes question mark boxes will have an item roulette where you can hopefully get the item you want if you're quick enough. There's this funny moment where Booster is rehearsing for his wedding with Peach, and you must avoid being seen behind the curtains while his Shy Guys look for the Mario doll. Later, when you defeat Booster in the cathedral, if you don't quickly find all of Peach's items in time, Bowser or even Booster may end up kissing Mario at the end instead of Peach. It's funny moments like this that the developers really didn't need to put into the game, but add so much life, personality, and memorability to it. You finally return to Bowser's castle to help Bowser reclaim it and put an end to the Smithy Gang. Bowser's minions are all there under the Smithy Gang's control now, so you must fight a variety of Hammer Bros, Wizakoopas, and this armored knight with a katana called a Boomer. You climb to the top of the castle similarly to how you did in the opening part of the game, where you fend off against Exor, the giant sword that pierced Bowser's castle, that acts as a sort of secondary antagonist to this game. His boss fight isn't too tough. You damage his eyes, which then allows you to attack his skull, and if you do this enough times, a black hole appears in his mouth, which pulls you into the weapon world. This acts as the true final trial of the game. Bowser wants to call it quits and rebuild his castle at this point, but Geno explains that he will never have his castle back unless we defeat the true source. You traverse the dark, creepy netherworld where you fight a literal clock, these 2 goons called Cloaker and Domino, and the Shovel Knight knockoff, before facing off against the true villain and cause of all this, Smithy. He's the one that's been creating all the weapons and wants to use them to conquer the world. You know, classic villain stuff. His first phase is pretty simple, but he can forge allies with his hammer and rain down swords from the sky. His second phase is much more interesting, however, as his true form is revealed, and he uses his hammer to have his head take on different forms, such as a tank that can shoot you, a safe that increases his defense, and a witch that can cast spells. His fight is over before you know it, and the final star piece is collected. Geno returns to his spirit form, leaving the toy body behind to combine all the star pieces and restore Star Road. Peace is now restored to the Mushroom Kingdom as we watch a great credit sequence and a beautiful final CGI cutscene of all the party members watching the fireworks in front of the castle. Geno's spirit flies back up to the giant star representing Star Road as he returns to where he once came, as the game says, the end. Super Mario RPG is truly a quirky, unique, and gratifying adventure that has a lot of charm and personality, and does away with many of the more traditional, time-sucking tropes of many typical RPGs to create a more focused and direct experience that can be beaten in around 10 to 12 hours. Being someone with basically no patience at all when it comes to overly explained mechanics, long drawn-out storylines, and tough difficulty spikes requiring constant grinding, I was able to really appreciate Nintendo's approach to a more condensed experience, with all the great aspects of a traditional RPG packed into it. The characters and wacky events that happen in this game make it stand out, and I can definitely see how this paved the way for other Mario RPGs that came after it. I love how simple everything is while still feeling rewarding and challenging for someone who doesn't really play a ton of RPGs. Mario's fun, bright, vibrant world is translated beautifully in RPG form and makes for one of the most approachable RPGs I've been willing to fully complete. This game is pure joy and excitement from beginning to end, and a great introduction to the world of RPGs. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification icons so you can stay up to date on all my future videos.